My name is Chris Mathis. I'm the Chief Commercial Officer at AnaBios, and I will be walking you through this slide deck that gives an overview of AnaBios's high-quality primary human hepatocyte offering. AnaBios is a unique preclinical CRO that's been in business for over 10 years, and we are focused on providing human tissue samples, primary cells like hepatocytes, and associated services. Now, most preclinical CROs have a scientific lab team, and AnaBios has one of the best in the business. But one thing that sets us apart from other human tissue-based companies is our clinical team. Our clinical team is in the field working at hospitals, transplant centers, organ procurement organizations to recover organs from consented donors that cannot be transplanted, which is obviously the priority of organ donation. Now, our clinical team has over 40 years of combined experience developing protocols for recovering organs and tissues for research to optimize drug discovery. This dedicated clinical team has combined decades of clinical knowledge and clinical pathology experience. This is very important in order to identify healthy livers for recovery, and that leads to, in combination with the AnaBios proprietary hepatocyte isolation method, high-quality primary human hepatocytes. Now, once we have prepared a lot of hepatocytes and everything is quality control tested and enzyme activity is validated and so forth, we prepare a comprehensive hepatocyte certificate of analysis. This slide shows an overview of the information that's available on the certificate of analysis. So there's batch information, which includes viability, cell count, confluency, and number of vials in the lot. There's functional activity, such as metabolism, induction, transport activity, and it will describe whether these hepatocytes are suspension, platable, or spheroid competent. We provide extensive donor demographics, age, BMI, sex, race, drug, smoking use, for example, and cause of death. We also provide a serology report. So, AnaBios advantage for quality hepatocytes begins with the qualified clinical assessment from our team. It's enabled by proprietary recovery and isolation methods, verified through functional and assay relevant QC, and we provide additional support to ensure success for your preclinical drug discovery programs. Now let's take a look at one of our C of A's in more detail. And the reason I'm showing you this C of A in particular is because one of our customers tested this lot quite extensively, and we have their permission to share the data with you today, at least some of the data. So the first page of the C of A, again, shows important information like the number of cells per vial, the post-thaw viability, confluency, donor demographics, and certain pictures that show the quality of the cells. This shows 5 days post-plating, 14 days post-plating. This is a cDFDA stain that highlights a biocanaliculi, and this shows 3D spheroid formation after 11 days post-thaw. This particular lot, the second page has extensive information on enzyme induction activity, metabolic activity, transporter activity, and so forth. Finally, we provide with all of our primary cells and human tissue samples extensive donor demographic information. So now let's take a look at the results of this evaluation with that lot that I just showed you. So the company that tested these has a benchmark hepatocyte that they compared to the AnaBios primary human hepatocytes. So these are the conditions, two conditions. They did 2D collagen-coated plating and 3D aggregation. The data assessment was the total number of cells per vial, number of recovered cells, cell viability and cell morphology at thaw, 2D plated viability and cell morphology, 3D aggregate or spheroid formation for 5 days, CYP3A4 activity, both 2D and 3D, and other characterizations. I won't be showing all this, but this was all characterized in their evaluation. And by the way, just to cut to the chase, they did accept this lot as one of the best that they've ever worked with. And so that should be readily visible in the next few slides. So again, A is the benchmark from the customer site, and this is the AnaBios primary human hepatocyte, which happens to be from a pediatric donor. The expected viability that was on the C of A was greater than 90%. The expected cells per vial was 10 million, and tested was 13.8 million, and the tested viability was 85%. So recovered cell counts and viability were right on target. The AnaBios hepatocytes also passed the viability test. This is day 5 viability. The cell viability of 3D spheroids was measured using calcine AM live and propydium iodide dead stains. And the result was that viability was high for both lots tested, and core death was not observed. The AnaBios hepatocytes passed the plating criteria at this customer site also. This shows 2D plating at day 5. All cells were seeded at a specific seeding density and maintained for 5 days on a 24-well collagen-coated plate. Again, as a reminder, A is the customer benchmark, and B are the AnaBios hepatocytes. So monolayer integrity, polarization, and biocanaliculi formation was observed for both lots. An important part of the validation was that the AnaBios hepatocytes formed spheroids. This slide shows 3D aggregation at day 5. All cells were seeded at 100 cells per microwell for 5 days on a 24-well agri-well plate. On the left is the benchmark from the customer site, and B is the hepatocyte from AnaBios. You can see both form spheroids. The AnaBios hepatocytes, the spheroid almost looks like a tiny liver. Lot B aggregate morphology was not as spherical as Lot A on day 3. However, spheroids formed after 3 days in culture and became more rounded by day 5. AnaBios hepatocytes passed CYP activity test. This slide shows CYP activity in 2D and 3D on days 3 and day 5. Again, A is the customer hepatocytes and the benchmark, and B is the AnaBios hepatocytes. This shows luminescence versus the activity after different days measured. So as you can see, there's virtually no difference between the benchmark and AnaBios. A little bit of increase on day 5 in the 2D culture, which could be related to donor variability. Finally, I'd like to make you aware that earlier this year, Cell Systems became an AnaBios company, and Cell Systems is a longtime provider of human primary cells, including primary human liver sinusoidal endothelial cells, which are ideal for working with hepatocytes. And this slide has information about the LSECs, and you can get more information from their website. And coming back to the hepatocytes, you can actually go to the Cell Systems website, and you can order LSECs there, or you can look at information about AnaBios's high-quality human hepatocytes, including media, and each of the lots that are available, different prices, and different number of vials per lot, depending on each lot. And for example, this is the lot that we just looked at that was evaluated at the customer site. This is a spheroid qualified lot, and you can actually order them here, or you can reach out to info@anabios.com for more information about reserving lots, or reserving a certain number of vials from each lot.